How's it going, YouTube? It is a rainy day out, so figured good day to do some RC stuff. This is hopefully the last video I shoot down here, where the ceiling is unfinished and the walls are gross. Big pile of drywall back there. So I'm finally next week going to hopefully finish up my shop. I'm planning on putting a cool background back there on the wall, but give you something more to look at. Anyway, this platform, the Traxxas TRX4M, is fantastic. It's a lot of fun. It's a great platform out of the box. It's even more of a great platform because there's tons of parts and things you can buy for it. And I have just had a blast with it. The EasyRC FMS stuff is great also, but my FJ and my Bronx completely fell apart. Drive them for a few minutes, something would break, and I just was over it. So I bought another one. I have two TRX4M Broncos. I really wanted to get the Land Rover, I think that's what it is. But seeing it in person, it has a roof rack, it has stuff on the back. To me, it just looked like more and more things to break. The only thing that I have broken on the Traxxas is the Bronco mirror. Does not stay on when it rolls over. Not the end of the world. So I kept looking at it in the store. I went to Hobbytown in Ankeny, Iowa. Great store. Tons of stuff in there. More than you can even ever imagine. But I couldn't walk out of there with the Land Rover. So came home with a second Bronco. Now the reason for this video is I have done a few things to this one. I've done things, taken them off, put them back on. I think I have a good budget build for these. So if you got around 50 bucks, I have a way that you can drastically increase this performance and really make a truly capable rig. Something that is very, very capable for around 200 bucks, purchase of car included. The only thing is like, these are old wheels and tires I had on one of my other builds. There's nothing wrong with these. Is there improvement over stock? Absolutely. But I'm going to go through 3 things that I think you should add to yours to increase the performance over stock. And then wheels and tires obviously are a great addition if you want to spend a little more money and add those. So I am going to have all the links for this stuff down below in my description. It's going to take you to my website. You can click the link. There's a picture and everything of where I bought it on Amazon. All of the parts I'm going to use also are Injora, and some of them I had to wait a couple weeks for. Some of them I was able to get the next day. So it just depended on what it is. So what are those parts? The first are the axle extensions, basically brass wheel spacers, and they are pretty big, and they are just going to get your wheels to stick out. So right here you can see it. This truck is already done. You got the wheel spaced out. You now have this nice chrome nut on there that goes through the wheel, and that gives you this super, super wide stance. So this has spaced out wheels, but you can see the wheels do not go out near as far as this thing. What's next? So you saw in my other video, I installed these high clearance links. Those, you can add a 1mm spacer to each side. It gives it a little height, gives it a little more articulation. Those I think are definitely worth it. These are $9. These are $20. And then the last thing are the flex blades. So in one of my last videos, I installed the shock relocation brackets for up here, and they were the plastic 3D printed ones. Overall, they're pretty great, but after moving the shock location around a few times, I was stripping out the holes in them, and they became no longer usable. So I was getting frustrated. I was putting a little super glue in there and trying to slowly thread screws in. The flex blades are all metal. And again, these are right around 20 bucks. So there's your $50. 20, 20, 10. You will basically have this, minus the wheels. So, what do the flex blades do? So they add and they change where your shock is located on the top. So you can see I have that on all four corners. And then they add this lower bracket down here. I don't know how to show you that. Down here on top of the axle. So there's one on all four again, where it wraps around the axle tube and it actually pivots with the shocks. So it gives you a huge range of motion and it's pretty smooth. And overall, the Bronco sits low, which is perfect. It helps you with your climbs. It helps you do all sorts of things. We got the 3 stock tires here. I mean, this thing flexes for days. So we have all tires on the ground. So there's that. This is touching. This is up there. And then this one is planted as well. I mean, that is a pretty crazy amount of flex for $50 whole. So again, this is the stuff you need to buy. So that's about just shy of 3 inches, 2 3/4 inches. This little thing is flexing up here. I am baffled with how much it has changed this. Now, I haven't done anything to the motor, the drivetrain, crawler gears, because I like that these are kind of quick. I like that you can pull the trigger full in and they go kind of fast. That's fun to me. I feel like I have pretty decent crawl control when it comes to going slow. So I want to leave that and maintain that. Maybe someday, especially because I have both of these now, I will change that. But for now, I'm really happy with how this performs. So this Bronco, just to show you, is completely stock minus the links. The links don't change the way the suspension handles. There's tons of hair in here, sorry. The links don't change the way the suspension really performs stock. But I'm going to go through and add everything to this. The other thing is this one does have those aftermarket shocks, but as you can see, the shocks aren't really doing a whole lot until I'm at full compression. So I'm going to put everything on this one today, and we're going to see how much it changes and what performance I get out of it, and figure out if you even need to buy shocks. And again, this has aftermarket wheels, but the stock ones will work with this stuff fine. So we're going to take these same 3 tires, and obviously it's going to balance on that one fine. Pretty well planted on that one, but no, you're not getting 3 out of the stock setup. So even if I move it, I can still move my fingers under there. So let's see if we can't get this thing to touch the ground on all 3 tires. Really just adding these 2 things now because the links are already on there. So overall, this is pretty simple to do. The first thing I got to do is get the wheels off, and then I will pop. You got to take the shocks off, upper and lower, and then add these flex blades in. So I'm not going to make you sit here and watch this, so I'm going to go ahead and put it all together, and I will show you everything at the end. I guess what I will do quick though is just show you how easy it is to add these axle extensions, because all you need to do, you take the wheel off, and we're driving these in my basement, so there's a gross amount of hair tangled up in there. I use pliers to kind of wiggle these plastic hex nuts off. Get all the dog hair off. Okay. So now we're going to open up the wheel extensions. These you can add in just a few minutes. The other cool thing about these is if you do have EasyRC or FMS, these fit on it. So here is my K10 truck, my Glacier actually. You can see the wheel spacers on there, and they do fit this platform, so that is cool. And I do have this one still, not getting rid of this one. Drive shaft is very broken, so I have to fix that. Back to this. So all you have to do is make sure that the factory pin stays in there. Sorry, there's hair all over this thing. There we go. There is extra pins included, but all you have to do is slide this brass onto the axle, line it up with the bit, and then you would install your wheel, and then you will install you're going to take one of these little black spacers, and it just helps retain the bolt and this, and then you simply thread it through there onto the spindle, tighten it down, and your wheel is on and it's spaced out. So I don't know how well you can see this, but you can already see this wheel is now out further than this wheel. So I need these off though for when I install everything, but super easy to install that. I will slap the flex blades on and then show you when it's done. Okay, I got the flex blades installed. It took me a total of 10 minutes. So not bad at all. So as you can see here, top and bottom, and you can see it swings over the axle tube. So there is the back. You can see them all engraved with where they go. Here is the front, and the bottom ones are a lot harder to see, but basically they're the same. So like the top, the back left, so the back driver side is RUL on the top and RLL on the bottom. The back passenger side is RUR on the top and RLR on the bottom. And then similar for the front, except the first letters are F. So FUL, FUR, FLL, FLR. So super simple. It lets that axle fall so much further, but you can still get full compression. And again, this one is on stock shocks. So move the front axle. The front doesn't move as much because you obviously have steering, but you do get more side to side, and it does help with the steering servo getting a little clearance. So there is that. I am going to get these wheel extensions installed and slap everything back together. So why do I do the flex blades? Because thing articulates like a monster now. So that one's pretty obvious. But why am I adding these spacers? Well, I have found that mine are a little more, they tip over a little easier than I would like. So by just adding some width, I'm making it more stable. So if you're out in rocks or in a more of a off camber situation, you're going to be able to keep all four wheels, or at least two of the wheels, on the ground a lot better. So that's one thing I have noticed with the Bronco. It just tips over a little bit more than I would like it to. These wheels are kind of terrible because they're impossible to even get the standard nut on. So that's also why, though, I removed the rear tire, the plastic one from the back. Just getting some weight off the top of these trucks seems to go a long way as far as crawlability. So the lighter it is up top and the heavier it is down below, they go up hills. They do side hills. It just overall seems to perform like a better machine. So that's also why these wheels, I have these wheels, and I'll try and remember to get a link for these as well. These are weighted and they're brass, and they are incredibly heavy. So they help just keep everything planted. My son wanted to put these on here because I went with the bronze color, and these are black and bronze, so they do match pretty good. So there's two. Get these other wheel spacers on here. Wheel spacers, axle extensions. I don't know what the proper thing to call them is. They're spacing the wheels out. So that's why I keep calling them wheel spacers. With the flex blades, you do get all new bolts. So you can put those on. I have a whole bunch of extra bolts here because this thing is brand new. I didn't feel like I needed to swap out anything for the bolts. I will just keep those as spares in case I ever lose one. So I use the stock ones, but then you obviously need a couple extra bolts because you now have a bolt. You're adding 4 because you're adding 8 bolts because you are adding extra bolts for the shock because you got your mounting point and then shock, so on and so forth. So I don't know why the motor is unplugged. Okay, so we have the flex blades, we got the body on now, and we have a super wide stance. We got spare parts everywhere. And just one more reminder, the links for this are in the description for these parts, and I will try and get all the wheels and tires on there. Even these I bought straight off Injora. These tires are amazing, but I already have well over $250 into this one just because of the pieces I bought, didn't use, and took off. So this has been my experiment. This is going to be kind of the final project. I'll put the parts I think I want on the white one, and the blue one will just kind of follow in suit. So tons of articulation, especially in the rear. The front, I mean, is good too, but with the steering, you're not going to get as much. So here's the test. We got 3 tires. Can all 4 tires touch? And yes, they 100% can. And these are actually smaller tires than what's on the white one. So big improvement. This, like I said, for $50, you are gonna make a monster out of these little trucks. So I'm super happy with those. The wide stance just looks super tough on this little RC truck. I mean, look at how much those tires stick out. Overall, I guess I don't have the body snapped on. Oh, that is the other thing. You will have to, on the back of the body, right here, you do have to cut those little sections off. So I'll try and highlight this. On the back, where this comes to the body, there's a little section with a hole in it. Just cut that off. That's not going to do it. Yeah, that's not going to do it either. I need a sharper knife. So you got to cut these off, otherwise you won't get it to seat properly because now these stick out. So take your time with an X-Acto knife. Trim those off flush. Should be able to see that. And then now your body will snap on like it's supposed to. Well, maybe. Oh, there we go. Okay, body's on now. So, yeah. Let me know what you think. Is this something you're going to do? I am still fairly new to the RC world, but I understand suspension. I understand full-size vehicles very well. And I wish I could spend $50. I wish I could spend $500 on my real Bronco and get it to drastically change performance as much as this. So, overall, just an amazing improvement. I mean, these things are amazing. They're great. Now they're reliable. All the mounts are solid. They're sturdy. And this one's on stock shocks. So now you don't even... I don't know what your benefit would be for changing the shocks, because this is essentially now just a pivot point, the shock is. You don't really rely on a whole bunch of spring action, because now you have the swing from those flex blades that is allowing things to happen. So, yeah. So overall, can't recommend it enough. I mean, it's just a crazy way to drastically improve how these little trucks perform. So go ahead, give me a like and follow. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.